well, up close, this is quite a scary looking thing. But yeah, obviously young Eric Morecambe here doing his famous dance here out the front at Morecambe. So where am I? Well, yes, I'm at Morecambe, and what am I doing? Well, I'm not staying here. Spent the night with my good friend Major Ives, and we're at the Midland Hotel just up the road, and today we're going to be getting the ferry over to the Isle of Man for a little adventure around the Isle of Man. So today it's all about maybe catching the boat train and then getting over to the Isle of Man on the steam packet. But Eric, he'll have to stay here. Now, Morecambe and the Midland Hotel deserves its own bonus video. Now, it's safe to say this 1933 Art Deco masterpiece was a truly wonderful place to stay for just one night. But for now, Richard is going to catch a taxi and I'm going to get the boat train. Welcome to Morecambe Station, a station with 2 platforms and train departing in about, I don't know, an hour or 2 on this platform to Leeds. But we're going to catch this train here, which is going to take us to Heysham, because I'm on the boat train. Now, you obviously, when you say the words boat train, you can picture a Bulliard Pacific thundering through, or a Pullman train with dining on its way to meet a steamer going off to Paris, or something like that. So it's not quite the same here at Morecambe. The boat train is actually a 2-car Class 150 DMU, but a boat train it is nevertheless. At Heysham Harbour, it will then meet the Isle of Man steam packet to take us on to, well, yeah, the Isle of Man. So Richard wasn't really up for the walk to the station, so he's gone ahead by taxi from the Midland Hotel straight to Heysham. I'm going to be jumping on this train and then we'll be heading down to Heysham. So let's go on the boat train. As I was speaking, Northern were busy cancelling the train at Lancaster due to staff shortages. So here I am in a taxi to Heysham. Well, at least it was half price, as I teamed up with another guy, Julian, who was also waiting for the train too. It's just a 10-minute ride before we swoop into Heysham Port, and I have to find Richard. And you know what? He still thinks I'm getting the train. Here he is, waiting for a train that will never come.
Class 150. He appears already to be here.
They cancelled the train, I got a taxi.
Right. Well, there we are.
You were waiting for me on the platform that I never came.
Waiting for you on the platform, and it's a huge disappointment that you didn't get here on the boat train.
Sorry.
There we are.
Finally made it to the terminal here at Heysham and found some comfy seats, and Richard and I are just relaxing in those seats. Now, if anybody has watched the Superloop, where Richard and I did the bus ride, you'll remember that he does all the planning, so I'm going to have to defer to Richard to say, Richard, what are we doing next?
Right, hello folks, it's me, the Major. So yes, Jono says we're just waiting here for to board the ferry, which we should do in about a quarter of an hour, 20 minutes. It's a very modern ferry apparently, and we've got some seats in the Premier Lounge, so that might be nice because it's a 4-hour journey just over. And I hope at some point we'll have a nice lunch, but time will tell. More particularly, hope there's a bar. So continue as we mean to go on, having had a slightly boozy lunch yesterday on the train from Euston. So yeah, talk later.
So I had the body search.
Yes, lucky you.
Yeah. Steam packet. As Richard said, the Manxman is pretty new, and actually it's only in its 2nd year of service, having been built in South Korea. We enter deck 4 across the footbridge, and I'll leave Richard to the lift And I'll get some stair exercise as we both need to be on deck 8 in the lounge. This way to the Barul Premium Lounge, because Richard's worth it. There you are, Richard, the Barul.
If in doubt.
As we enter the lounge, our host shows us our pre-booked seats.
Lovely, thank you.
And in a rather worrying development, there appears to be a shortage of tonic for Richard's Gin and Tonic. Got little stickers on them.
Well, nice view of the car park, don't you think?
Yes.
Yes.
But it'll be upgraded by a view of a Gin and Tonic shortly, I suspect.
Yes, a nice fine view of the railway as well.
Mm.
I suppose that railway actually goes to the power station, doesn't it?
Yeah, the railway station's down there.
Mm.
The Barul comes with its own private deck area, which should be a good spot to watch our departure. And here we are, Heysham Port. And there's the railway station where I didn't arrive. Well, actually, this little private area seems like a good place to just watch the ship depart, and then we'll do a full tour when we're all settled in and Richard's got his Gin and Tonic. We're due to depart at past, and we leave the quayside exactly on time. The sailing is timed to take 3 hours and 45 minutes, so we're due into Douglas on the Isle of Man at 6 p.m. There's been a port here since 1904, when the Midland Railway decided to move its operations from the jetty at Morecambe to this deeper port at Heysham. These days, the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company runs 2 trips a day out to Douglas. Stena also operates a freight-only service to Belfast. And there's also sea truck ferries operated by CLDN with freight-only services to both Dublin and also to Warren Point, which is near Newry in Northern Ireland. Anyway, the port and the power stations are receding into the distance, so let's try the view from up on the public deck on deck 9. The public deck is pretty good, although it's not hugely spacious, but one benefit is you can get a bit of a forward view here. Right, so we're underway, so I think it's time to get back down to deck 8 and see if Richard's got himself something to drink, and maybe it's time for lunch, because it is time for lunch. Down in the Barul, Richard has been provided with his Gin and Tonic, and I shall make use of the free drinks from the coffee machine. Back out on deck, I can just make out Blackpool Tower as we chug a bit more southbound than I expected. No doubt we'll swing westerly soon. I'm guessing the Irish Sea maybe isn't too deep at this point. Also, I had a great chat to our lovely lounge neighbours, and they're off to the Isle of Man to tick off some geocaches. We're having a chat about geocaching.
Oh, really? I know of it. I've never done it.
And you never will.
And I probably never will. Far too energetic at my time of life. This is definitely the way to travel. Gin and tonic I've just had. Probably have another one if the steward can find some more tonic. And then we'll have a little something to eat shortly, and then, well, might have a nap. That's what I'll do.
While he has his nap, we'll go and have a look round the ship, okay? Whilst you do have to pay for the food in the lounge, it is delivered to you right from the kitchens. There we have it.
Yes.
Spaghetti and meatballs.
Spaghetti and meatballs and a veggie burger over there. How about that? What's not to like?
Well, it turns out that the thing not to like was the burger. It was not very good at all. Anyway, here we are on deck 7, walking forwards and through that staple of all ferries, the duty-free shop. Beyond that, it is the Corner Cafe, which, as you'd expect, provides refreshments and light bites. And it also has some pretty neat comfy seats with a forward view out to sea. Looks pretty good round here, actually. Crossing back through the shop to the starboard side, there's a kids area, and I can show you a little of it as there are currently no kids in it. Moving towards the stern, we'll find the bar on the starboard side and the eatery to port. But let's have a quick look outside as we pass through. There's a small public seating area with a few tables, but it's a bit chilly in the shade though. And the eatery, it's still serving at 3:30 p.m. and you know, I should really have come down here and maybe got a sandwich from the cafe. Right, it's time to get back up onto deck 9 to see what we can see out in the Irish Sea. And what we can see in the sea is a lot of offshore wind farming, and also one of those freight-only ferries plying its trade. I'll tell you what, I'm impressed with this lifeboat. With its twin Mercury engines, I bet they have a lot of fun when they have to lower it down into the sea to test it. There's also a few platforms out there which I think are part of the Morecambe gas fields, which have been producing gas since 1985. Well, I hope you enjoyed that quick tour around. I thought everything on deck 7 looked to be in the right place, and people all had somewhere to sit and somewhere to lie down and actually get some sleep as well if there was one or two sprawled out. And bar area, eatery area. What more could you want from a ferry doing this sort of run? So yeah, I'm not surprised that the Manxman has the facilities it has, and yeah, it seems to all work very well. Probably been my only personal complaint is I'd like more deck space, but I think all YouTubers say that, and most people, they're not really that fussed. They have 10 minutes on deck and then they go and chill out somewhere. So, you know, given that I'm maybe an unusual traveller, fair enough, but we got this corner on deck 8 where I'm tucked out of the wind and I'm really enjoying the crossing, and Richard's just about dropped off to sleep, so it's all good for him as well. So I think it's time for another free cuppa whilst Richard continues to get some Zeds in. I've managed to drag Richard up onto deck 9, just so we can see the appearance of the coastline of the Isle of Man. Still, it was a bit drafty for his old bones, so we'll catch up later. For now, let's just all of us enjoy the arrival into Douglas on the Isle of Man. As we pull into the port at Douglas past St Mary's Isle with its quirky sand-castle-shaped tower of refuge, you can see just how integrated into the city this terminal is. It is lovely to arrive so close to the city and its promenade. Vehicles both enter and leave the Manxman through the stern doors, and therefore the ship has to complete this tricky rotation once we're in the port itself. Of course, coming in backwards is ideal if all you have is a rear-facing viewing deck, so that's worked out just fine. It's 5:45 p.m. as we begin to back into the berth, so I think it's fair to say we should be off the ship at around 6 p.m, just as scheduled. There really is a wonderful view of the Douglas skyline from up here on deck 9, and that includes a view to the inner harbour and marina. Anyway, the vehicle ramp is beginning to lower, so things are gonna get busy. Right, well, the ramp's down. As you can see, some of the people who've got off first are popping up on this pathway here, so I'm going to go down the green stairs to level 5 and we'll leave. And so at some point I'll overtake Richard. On my way, look, here is an executive balcony room. Very nice, but a bit pricey for under 4 hours of actual sailing. Using the green stairs means I'll have to go through the Niabil lounge, which comes with very nice seats but no other extras. And here we are finally down the stairs and out of the ship. You know, I think I'm probably the last one off. Now it's time for a pretty hefty walk alongside the quay and then up and over the dock. Mind you, you do get a good view of the Manxman and also of the city from here. Now I've given Richard a very big head start, so he's probably already made it to baggage reclaim. And yes, we are reunited for the final walk out past the closed welcome centre, making our way to the Midland Hotel, which is just along the front here at Douglas. In fact, Richard needs a sit down after the walk from the ship, so let's pop outside and look at this remarkable terminal, especially this crow's nest on the top. Inside, this is the departure lounge. Meanwhile, outside, Richard has spied a taxi, and therefore there won't be any more walking for him today. Richard's picked up his taxi for running to the hotel. We'll give him a cheery wave as he goes past, and then I'll just make my way along the front, and we'll get a few shots of the front at Douglas. Exciting. Isle of Man. One thing I can say, having just got off the steam packet, is Morecambe had a very similar promenade, and that sort of smelled a bit of the sea. Douglas promenade smells of money. Quite a lot of money. So regular viewers will know I'm nothing if not cheap when it comes to accommodation and transport costs. But I'm travelling with the Major, so while we're here in the Isle of Man, we're going to stay in Major style accommodation, which is of course the Sefton. That's if they let a scruff like me in, of course. Also right next to the Sefton is the lovely Gaiety Theatre. So here we are, time to catch up with Richard and get checked in. We're checking in.
Oh yes, we're checking in. I've checked in. The Sefton Hotel, lovely. Last time I was here, which was on business, must have been in about 2012, 2014, something like that. The UK e-Health Forum meeting, that's what it was. Yeah, so lots of memories in the Isle of Man generally, and this hotel in particular. So let's get checked in, shall we, John? Sefton Hotel, yes. Well, it was uneventful, wasn't it? We had a really good steward in the Premier Lounge that we were in.
Very good steward, very attentive.
Yeah, indeed he was. I gave him a tip even. So that was good. Unfortunately, John, you didn't have a good meal, did you?
Not ideal, but, you know, we'll gloss over that.
Yes.
The approach into Douglas was lovely.
Yes, at all. So everything went smoothly. I was a bit pooped at the end of the walk from the ship to the sea terminal, and there was a taxi waiting outside, and even though it's a 10-minute walk, I thought, you know what, I'm going to get this taxi. So I did.
The moment I walked out behind Richard and saw there was a taxi there, I thought, there's no way you're going to do this walk. Because you'd already been walking for about 15 minutes to get to the terminal gate.
From the ship, yeah.
I know a lot of you have commented on videos before about the whole bus transfer on ferries, and it was a lovely walk when you ended up going up and over, looking down on the ship, getting a good look at it, as you know, and a good look out across Douglas as well.
Indeed.
So, you know, it's a good opener, it's a good doorway into the Isle of Man. So thanks for the steam packet for that.
Yeah.
So now what we are doing is looking at the Isle of Man railways, because that's what we're really here for. Yes, so of course that's another story. So in the meantime, we'd like to say thank you very much for watching this one, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Cheers.
So thank you very much, and we'll see you back in the Isle of Man for the next one.
Indeed.